I was just looking through the internet, I guess, on different websites of like different diabetes diets, like approaches to eating and whatnot. And somehow I can't remember exactly what it was. It could have been through Instagram, Facebook, or just like general searching the web that I found the Mastering Diabetes, the website. When I found that, I found Robbie and Cyrus and several other people that were helping people on this plant-based diet. And I was really skeptical at first because it was like, I can eat fruit with diabetes. Like, that's crazy. Because I don't think I had ever eaten like a full banana on its own, like just eat the whole thing. Well, my name's Kenny Searle. I'm from Vernal, Utah, and I'm 20 years old. I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2015, right before the start of my junior year of high school. And so I got diagnosed with celiac as well about 3 months ago. I started having all kinds of symptoms as far as that. I started having low bone density. I was anemic. I just have tons of problems with that. So not only the plant-based through the Mastering Diabetes has helped me, but also just gluten-free in general has really just helped me with my overall health. I'm a runner as well. I actually qualified for the Boston Marathon this year, and I was supposed to run it this April, but obviously it got canceled with the coronavirus, so I won't be doing that. But I'm still running and doing great with that. I've always been right around like 140 to 150 pounds. That's about where my baseline is, I guess you could say. When I went on this mission trip to Guatemala, I just dramatically dropped weight. Like I probably dropped down to like 125 by the end of the trip. So like 15 pounds in about a week. When we got back overnight, I had lost 7 pounds actually. So that was just like crazy. Like my parents were freaking out, and we go to the hospital, and my blood sugar was I think 660. So like 6 times higher than the normal range. They didn't ever give me my A1C on my first trip to the hospital or while I got treated for diabetes the first time. I'm sure it was pretty high, like maybe above 10%, I think. After that, I got it pretty well under control. I actually started doing kind of like I guess you could say like a keto diet. It was pretty low carb. I would eat mostly like chicken or meat, like red meat, and then like a lot of broccoli, and then like a lot of like a fat, like the fat that I usually would use was like peanut butter or avocado was like a staple in my diet for probably about a year after my diagnosis. So like from 2015 to 2016, I had a pretty good A1C the first, I think, 2 times. It was like I think maybe 6.2 and 6.5 for my first two A1Cs. And I just kind of, my doctor's like, all right, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. I continued on with that for a little while. And then I kind of got tired of it, just eating that way, like the keto diet, like how they say it's not sustainable. It's kind of like a short-term fix for a lot of people. And so then I just went back to eating just like kind of a normal teenager, just whatever I could have, like sandwiches or like pancakes. Like that was just kind of a normal Saturday morning with pancakes and whatnot. And my A1C started creeping up, and my blood sugars. I just didn't know how to control it. Like I think the worst A1C I had, I think it was in 2018, was over 14. It was pretty bad. My doctor was definitely not pleased. So after that, I was devastated for quite a while. I was pretty depressed with that high blood sugars. Obviously, it's just not good for your health. In 2019, I think the celiac was really starting to kick in, and my fasting blood sugars would usually be anywhere from like 250 to over like 350, maybe 400. And it didn't matter like if I went to bed flat, like 90 to 100. I could do that a lot of times, and I'd be like, okay, I'll be fine. And then I wake up the next morning and it's just like super high, like 250 to 300 or even higher. And so I'd be super dehydrated. when I'd wake up in the morning, I felt terrible. It probably ranged, I think, around maybe 11.5-ish, right in there. So my weight I was a little underweight of what I normally would be. I was probably around like 135, and usually I'm about 145 to 150. So I was a little underweight, but I think it could have been from obviously the high blood sugars and the celiac. I was just looking through the internet, I guess, on different websites of like different diabetes diets, like approaches to eating and whatnot. And somehow I can't remember exactly what it was. It could have been through Instagram, Facebook, or just like general searching the web that I found the Mastering Diabetes, the website. When I found that, I found Robbie and Cyrus and several other people that were helping people on this plant-based diet. And I was really skeptical at first because it was like, I can eat fruit with diabetes. Like, that's crazy. Because I don't think I had ever eaten like a full banana on its own, like just eat the whole thing since I got diabetes. So it was kind of scary for me to like think like, can I really eat all this fruit? Like before it was like, bananas would spike me, apples would spike me, all these fruits, and even like potatoes. I was afraid to eat potatoes, but I just followed their approach. I listened to several videos on YouTube about Cyrus. I think he was lecturing at different universities or seminars and stuff, and he was just talking about how it's low fat, whole food, plant based. And I just kind of slowly progressed into it. It was probably the first week of February 2020. I think it was that first Monday I started doing it. I had already been gluten-free for maybe a month, January-ish. So yeah, that obviously helped my blood sugars quite a bit, cutting out the gluten, but I still noticed like eating the meats and the dairy and all the high fat, high processed foods. They just impacted my blood sugar so much compared to the whole food plant-based version. Probably one of the main things that I noticed was before I started the Mastering Diabetes method, I do Lantus and Humalog. So Lantus for my long-acting, Humalog for my bolus, my short-acting. And I was taking 45 units of Lantus before I started the plant-based diet and the Mastering Diabetes method. And I was taking maybe 50 to 70, even close to maybe 80 or 90 units of Humalog every day. And that's just on a standard Western American diet. In about 2 weeks, my Lantus dropped down to 13. It went down a lot. I was going low all the time just by eating this way. So like I just like, man, I got to keep cutting down the dosage every single time. And I was just amazed at the results that it was giving me. Like I had so much more energy. My blood sugars I was trying to get them managed to where I could get the dosage down because I was going low every night. And so once I got that down, I'm like 90 to 95% in range most days. When I would eat like an apple, like I'd have like for a snack, I'd have like an apple, a banana, and like 2 large carrots. I would dose for it, like I would be on like maybe a 1 to 15 ratio, and I would go low. And that's just after eating it, and I was sitting around, I wasn't even doing any physical activity, and I would go low. And I was like, how is this happening? It was pretty encouraging to see that happen. So my last A1C was done in December. And I'm sure it was over 12. It could have been 13 or 14, but I think it was like maybe a 12.5. And so it was pretty bad then. Like I haven't had this good of blood sugar since like maybe 2017. So I've definitely had struggles with my type 1 diabetes for several years, for about 3 years now, until I found this. It's almost like I don't feel like it's a disease. It's just like, I don't know, I don't even feel like I really have much of a disease as I did before, because I was always like high and depressed and my blood sugars were out of control. So now I just feel like it's manageable and pretty easy to manage as well. So my average right now ranges from, I do go low still some, like I run quite a bit and I try to be as physically active as possible. So sometimes I will go low on my runs, but anywhere from 70 to like the max is like 150 most days. Like I said, I was about 130 130 pounds, maybe 135, when my blood glucose was really high, like a couple of years ago. And right now I'm at about 145 to 150, pretty much right where I would like it to be. My breakfast, I love sweet potatoes. That might be like my favorite carb source. I even like sweet potatoes before I started this diet. Not near as much now, but as much as now. But I definitely do sweet potatoes in the morning. I'll usually have with that like some kind of fruit, whether it's bananas, apples, pineapple, kind of basically whatever is in season. Um, and even if it's not in season, I still try to go for it. But so yeah, I'll have like a sweet potato with fruit, and then I always do like some kind of vegetable, like there's broccoli, cauliflower, sometimes some Brussels sprouts. So yeah, I can eat about any kind of vegetable in the morning. It doesn't really bother me. Some people don't like vegetables in the morning, but I definitely try and incorporate them into my diet. And then sometimes I'll have oatmeal, and then lunch I usually try to do beans or lentils for lunch, just for protein's sake. Again, some type of vegetables, but I try to mix it up as much as possible with like green beans, peas, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, carrots, red bell peppers, and then I'll usually do some type of fruit with that as well, usually like an apple. And then dinner, I usually love having like a big salad with usually lentils or beans, like kidney beans or garbanzo beans, black beans. And then I'll usually just load it with a bunch of vegetables. And then I like to put a lot of spices on it too, like turmeric or chipotle, just kind of different herbs and spices to kind of make the flavor kind of come out. And then I'll usually do either like a normal russet potato or like a sweet potato. I'm not exactly sure how many I was eating in a day before, but I'm guessing maybe around 150 to 200. When I was doing more of a keto version, it was definitely less than that, definitely less than 100. But now, like, I'm ranging from probably 350 to 400 now. Like I'll have breakfast and I'm already at like I'm eating 150 grams of carbs for breakfast, which a lot of times was more than I would have in a day. And if I was eating all the processed foods and the meats and the dairies and just all that other normal standard Western diet, then I'd have to dose hundreds of 50 units of insulin in a day of Humalog to cover that. And now I'm dosing probably 14 to 20 units in a day for Humalog. So my fat intake was a lot higher than, I would say, easily probably 60 to 80 grams per day. And that was mostly from probably processed foods, and obviously meat and dairy and peanut butter. So I still eat some peanut butter even with the plant-based, but not near as much as before. So now I try to follow the Mastering Diabetes book. I actually got the book like a month ago. Really good book. I love it. And I try to follow their guidelines on kind of the fat intake. I try to limit it to about 30 per day based off of like their activity level. Like what they said, if you exercise for at least 60 minutes a day, you can put it up to about 30, which I do that, and it doesn't really affect my blood sugars too much. Something that's really impacted my life before I started this plant-based diet through Mastering Diabetes, I was really scared of my diabetes. Like I didn't want to manage it. Oftentimes I wouldn't even look at my Dexcom. I was just afraid because I knew it was high all the time, and nothing I could do to manage it very well. So there would be some days that I'd only look at it once in the whole day. And now I'm confident all the time with my diabetes. Like I'm never afraid to look at it. If I do have a small spike, I can manage it. I know that I can handle it and take care of it. And I like looking at my blood sugars actually, if that makes sense. But it's just overall has been a big change in my confidence level with managing it. I am going to Utah State University. Since I have type 1 diabetes, I've been kind of inspired to actually go into that field and help people through like a plant-based diet, and maybe be like a physician assistant or a diabetes educator, something like that, and really show people like what they can do to manage their diabetes and prevent all the complications that can be associated with it. And they can live a full active life. They can have unlimited energy and enjoy their food as well.